All right, Shalom, I can giving all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai by Hashem Rakakadash. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, double honors to the apostles, elders, bishops, a great millstone. Much salutations to the brothers teaching word for the hopeful elect, soon to be the elect, most high will. To the hopeful extended elect, Shalom, blessing men, women, and children. And we always and exalt those names, Yahweh, he is to be his son, Yahweh Shai, he that delivers, he that saves. We always say in the name of the Holy Spirit. And we say it like Spirit Holy. So, Kakadash. This is going to be a fairly quick one. It's about fancy girls. There's a such thing as some call fancy girls. Apostles have brought it out. Elders have brought it out before. You know, fancy girls. I'll just get the definition for it. Where was it? I'm going to actually do another video about the man carries the seed. Let me see. Fancy girl term. The term fancy girl has had a few meanings depending on the time period and context. Historical meaning, especially in the 1800s in America, in the 19th century, a fancy girl often referred to a woman kept by a wealthy man for sexual purposes. She might be a mistress, a prostitute, a woman chosen or bought for sexual purposes. In the context of American slavery, the term fancy girl had a very dark meaning. Enslaved women who were considered attractive were sometimes sold at fancy girl markets. And then another definition that came up, which was same kind of meaning, was light-skinned women. It mentioned that. This here didn't mention that, but when I asked it another kind of way, same question, it mentioned it put the light-skinned girls in there. That's what apostles went into too. The girls that they chosen to be that were attractive to them were the were the light-skinned girls. It says fancy girl markets where they were forced into sexual slavery by buyers. This was part of the slave trade in places like New Orleans. It says fancy meant to like or desire someone. So a fancy girl could also mean a girl someone desires or keeps as a lover. So now you got someone like Maya, man, pretty woman. This woman, she has a ring on, which most of the time it used to signify and mean that you were taken, that you were married to a man. And I use that as an example too, with the MOTB, like showing some kind of possession, like, a woman is a possession, but showing some that you belong to somebody, they're off limits, So that's kind of how the elites see Israelites as slaves belonging to them. Slavery and the ownership of slavery that, so-called slave masters proclaim. So, but you have this pretty ass woman, brother have different tastes, but even with the different tastes, you have Maya here. She's a light-skinned woman, pretty, I think she even have different color eyes, and Jake really, we don't really get into that, but it sometimes it makes it exotic for Jake. But you know, compared to Whoopi Goldberg, and I always use her example. She played in Color Purple. Everybody should know Whoopi Goldberg. She, this is she'd be treated horrible, most likely, or in tell them by a slave master to go to the field. And it's true to that. And she got a ring too. I guess maybe I don't know what that meant in this particular film called The Color Purple. They even did a rendition of it um, with Fantasia and um, well, who was that other female? I forget her name. Megan Good, I think, one of them. But definitely, even with Jake, if he had a choice between even Jake having preferences, I would think every Jake would choose Maya over Whoopi. And that's just how it goes. I mean, you know, and I don't, some Jake women say, well, that's a psychological thing. That's a you have, like I said, you have very pretty dark skinned women, very pretty dark skinned women. I mean, everybody used to be over Megan Good. She's a dark skinned woman. Uh, many brothers like Lupita that played in Black Panther movies. She's a dark skinned woman. Um, you know, what's her name? Coco Jones. And of course, some of them then had cosmetic surgery and all that. But even with somebody like Holly Berry, like you, like if you grow up in the neighborhoods, in the hoods in the neighborhoods, you be like they used to call them around the way girls back then. LL Cool J made a movie called Around the Way Girl, and they were pretty. Every woman in there were in the Around the Way Girl video was pretty. Even the dark skinned women. So you do have, and they sometimes they call diamond in the rough, diamonds in the rough. But Holly Berry, she's pretty as hell, but she would be considered around the way girl. Like you meet around the block, like damn, I met this little shorty. She cool, man. She's and Jake be bragging with family. She's fine, man, and she is. I think Holly Berry is a real attractive woman. But going back to Maya, she got an exotic look. You know, so some would be like, well, damn. If they had Maya, they'd be like, damn, she fine as hell, man. You gotta meet her. So it kind of depends on too what people you know feel is exotic or think in you know in their minds is what exotic is. And it's usually exotic usually come with slanted eyes and a certain kind of face, but that's what they did. And you have some women like Vanessa Williams. She was Miss. I don't think it was Miss America, but in the beauty pageant she became Miss. I don't know if it was Miss Universe, whatever. But she had won. She got it taken away from her. But she got a kind of exotic look. But the Nia Longs, which a lot of brothers, like damn man. I mean the common Jake, like man, Nia Long is fine, man, and she's a brown skinned woman, Um, that one that played in Belly, that girl that played in Belly, um, damn, I forget her name. She sings too. She played in Tale of the Bronx Tale. a Bronx Tale. I forget her name, um, but she's a chocolate female. So it ain't really too much, especially with Jake, based on color. But you know what he saw it was a light skinned women, you know, and they still play those race cards today, or that race card, if you will, today. But you know, and I use Whoopi Goldberg as an example also because she's like dykish now. She's even her old age. I think she got married to Ted Danson, but she got the lesbian look, and I'm pretty sure she dibs and dabs in lesbianism. I mean, they all freakish in the industry some kind of way. And I think Maya, she's not, you know, she's not exempt. She's freaky too, man. I think she is a pass around, just like Rihanna. She's pretty, pretty as hell. She got an exotic look too, to me. Um, you know, especially if, you know, once they fix the women up with makeup, makes them look even more exotic. But you know, like this is her in a old, you know, older age, and I think she, you know, if you followed all her movies and all through her career, and Oprah's another one. You're gonna definitely choose Maya over Oprah. You're gonna choose Nia Long over Oprah and Whoopi. You're gonna choose, you know, Fantasia is a dark skinned woman. She's pretty to me. Um, and she's up there to me, as in his personality and all that. She's a round the way pretty girl, and you know, it's just, you know, sometimes a lot of times it's our preference. And then I know a lot of brothers been going into like the 7 women to 1 man. We're gonna be choosy and picky too. We could do that, being princes of power. We could be that, you know. Um, so you got a lot of women. You got a lot of women in the industry that are light skinned and are tore the hell up. You know, just because you light skinned, that don't mean you're pretty. Like they been talking about Tiny Ti's wife, going in on her like she looked like Smokey Robinson. They said she looked like Smokey Robinson and all that. So you know, don't if you're a dark skinned woman, don't get tripped up on how people have become to perceive dark skinned women. It might be a fight in your mind, of course, you know, but that doesn't determine that you know that you're ugly. That doesn't confirm that you're an ugly woman. It's usually, it really is deep down in your spirit that makes you ugly or attractive. Um, but there is, see, often right here in the 1800s, especially in the American South, fancy girls were enslaved women or girls sold specifically for sexual purposes, often young and lighter skinned, sold in special slave markets called fancy trade markets. So there you go, the light skin thing. And we know the scriptures. Most High says, and Israel, you know, is a beautiful nation in itself when it's in its right, when it's in its right standing with the Most High, when we're back with the Most High, following His laws, statute, commandments. Um, you know, it says too in the scriptures, this is what this is what men call beauty, that other nations mocking us. And it says beauty is vain in the scripture. So, um, and a lot of light skinned women, I mean, they might have a complex, about themselves being better or looking better than a dark skinned woman, but that's neither here nor there. That's their own personal opinion. It's not like engraved in stone to where people universally accept that perception of, you know, precious stone for beauty. And see, it says Proverbs 31:30, favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. So if Maya was a terrible woman and, you know, and devious and shit, and you just like, oh, she fine, you have a child with her, and she gonna tear your ass up, you know. So you can't go off of that, you know. And Jake, a lot of stupid Jakes be saying that, man. All right, man, I'll take Maya down, impregnate Maya, I mean, yeah, I'll impregnate her, you know. I'll take that down. We have, but you know, I'm not gonna speak on whether she sold out or not, but she does still have a place in the industry. Um, she has been in photos throwing up the 666, so I would think so. Is probably she's more of the standard type to where they don't really care if she, you know, gets involved to that extent. You know, some people they target more than others to become more involved and more tied in to their demands, especially contractual wise. And I don't think she broke away from the labels or whatever. She does still perform, but a woman like this, she married herself. You know, I think she put that online that she married herself, and it's kind of like a shot at men of Israel. You know, I'm talking about just the average man, because there's such thing as an elect. There's such thing as, you know, those that are awake knowing that they're Israelites. But to the average Jake, you know, it's kind of like, damn, y'all women, you know, it ain't no men in of y'all nation to where a pretty ass woman like this got to marry herself. So that could have been a stage too, you know. It could have been staged, but you know, if that was the case, she really did feel like that. Like there's no men out there, and you know the industry, everybody's pretty much um, Sodomed out. You know, uh, you might have women think like this and do what she she did. Um, but you know, as far as you know, she seemed like a very poised woman, a very respectful woman, a very professional woman. You know, like she could look like she could easily be into law or real estate or something like that. And she's a singer, um, you know, and she got the freaky songs, you know, and so you know, she's no better than other women that do the same thing, you know. Um, so it's just, you know, Jake dreams of these kind of women, you know, and I think it was Corey Holcomb that says you only do as much as you the best you do is based on how much money you have, which is you know, really kind of true in this world in America, and I want to do a video about that. Um, in America, a man's worth is based on his financial stability. But, you know, we all know it says in Isaiah 30, 33 and 6, I think it is, knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of thy times. So, I mean, you can imagine like women like this and Rihanna, if they were, you know, if it was like 7 women to one man, and they were one of them. And then you have another one that, was Rihanna. You have another one that was Nia Long type that looked, then you'd be like, damn, that. But then, you have some Whoopi Goldberg to come along, and you be like, hey, man, I don't know. She had to cry her eyes out to make you believe she's. Because Jake got preferences. I'm just saying, Jake got preferences, man. Women got preferences too. They like the light skinned dudes and not a you know when you in this truth is different. That's what I'm saying. But we talking about like the worldly light skinned dudes, and women go for the eye color. You know what I'm saying? He got blue eyes. He got they want to have a baby with you, curly hair and all that. So, women got the preferences too, man. And we can't. Oh, they definitely want a man with 6 figures or with a lot of money, stable. You know, a car, at least two, maybe 2 cars, a big house. You know, and this is kind of like it kind of portrayed. It kind. This is the portrayal of those two type of women actually in the movie. They had, I think her name is Celie. I forget how that goes, but Whoopi on the left and the woman on the right is who they let in the house, and she's a singer and she performs, and she's really more catered to, more more sought after than Whoopi in this movie. And that plays out in real life too. But a wise man, we, even with our desires and all that, which we it's a fight too, because we can't be carnal. Well, the Most High said, "Don't be much righteous over much wicked." So the Most High do know that we as men love attractive women, but going back to that scripture, that's why it says that beauty is vain. So you having wisdom, you're gonna think before you act, and think even when it comes to a woman that's a singer. It says that in the Apocrypha. Don't be taken by a woman that can sing well. I mean, Whitney was pretty, but her voice almost outdid her prettiness. You know, yeah, she'll get on your nerves. So just let me hear you sing, man. But you could be taken by a voice. Like, man, she had a beautiful voice. So beauty comes in all forms, man. And ugliness does too. But a wise man could really um, put in perspective of what is really true beauty and what is really true ugliness. Um, say Lamentations 1:6, and from the daughter of Zion, which is Israel, all her beauty is departed. Her princes are become like harts that find no pasture, and they are gone without strength before the pursuer. So even you got people like Lotto, you got people like who was that other one? Um, and the other light skinned woman that's always doing videos with her, and even a lot of Jakes find Cardi B attractive. Um, but they look ugly according because they out of line, they out of pocket, man. They're not humble, they're not submissive at all. You know, um, I think bring up that one. See her name. rapper Lotto. And you know, they have naked all the time twerking. We don't like our women like that, man. You know? And they're not virgins. What's the other female's name? And this is what little girls want to grow up to be. Lotto and Cardi B and that other one. And Suki, even Suki Hana and them and sexy. They young females want to grow up to be like them. They don't want to grow up to be like Lauryn Hill and Sade, which they were in the industry for a minute, but they never showed themselves like ratchet like that. So, you know, that even says something. It doesn't say, that they are innocent or anything, that they weren't getting passed around, but it does show them in a different kind of light. Yeah, I can't think of that other female's name. You know, and of course, uh, that's her and another woman, which is light skinned. But remember back then, and even when the Barbie dolls came out, which a lot of Jake children, girls played with, bought, and it got, they were dark skinned Barbie dolls, and they were considered as beautiful um, Barbie dolls, you know. But they did a test and comparison, and they always chose the white doll. Always chose not even light skin. It was just does the white look better, the dark, and they chose the white. So it is a it is a thing with that, you know. But of course, a wise man know better. Anyway, I'm starting to talk too much. I gotta. I was just trying to figure out that other female's name, man. She's kind of like an equal rapper. Let me see. Ratchet female rappers today. She'll pop up. Yeah, you had that Glorilla. Yeah, Remy Ma. She's a pretty dark skinned woman to me. But then you had the City Girls, but those are the ratchet ones. But they Jake like them too, cause they ratchet and they showing their breasts and their ass and shit. So the standard of attraction today, what attractive is today is whorism. So you'll have a Jake that want all them women, and then they'll be like Maya. She ain't about that. If it was a case of Maya, she's professional and she's covered up like she is. She don't show no titties and ass. They'll be like, yeah, she's boring. They'll still want to get with those other women, you know. So, but that's neither here or there because when Jake got a fine ass woman, he don't he try to stay with her. But those are some of the dynamics of you know how it plays into you know Jake's complexity with their own people when it comes to uh, these type of things, light skin, dark skin, and so forth. You know, and they say, well, that's like the devil. That's like the so-called white man. Not exactly, man. But you know, they did call it a term, fancy girls, and that's what it meant for the so-called white people, slave master. Anyway, I hope it's edifying to the next video. Shalom.